That was us sitting at school on Saturday. It kept like raining and then it would stop and raining and stop and the wind.
All right, welcome everyone to this Committee of the Whole meeting of the Shippensburg Area School District. We have a full agenda with various updates and items of interest. I'm just going to turn the time over to Mr. August, our superintendent, to introduce the topics.
Thank you, Dr. Goetz. I'm very excited about this evening. We've been grinding pretty hard in the Committee of the Whole on budget items and construction, and now that school's back into swing, it's great to hear from our students and staff about the amazing things that are going on in our buildings. So, tonight is about different levels and the different things that make our schools special places. So first up, I'd like to ask the middle school student council presentation to come forward.
I'm Amanda Kirkpatrick. I'm the middle school student council advisor, and I am just going to introduce Katie Beckenbaugh. She's the president of student council, and she's going to share about some Unity Month activities that we did in October.
Hello, I'm Katie Beckenbaugh, and I'm going to present Sam's Unity Month, something we did at our school. So first of all, we made compassion chains. We had the students, we gave them orange slips of piece of paper, and they answered the following questions. What do you do to make Sam's a safer place for your peers, and what makes you unique and proud of who you are as an individual? They've answered these questions, and then we made chains, and we hung them around the pillars in Sam's lobby. As in the pictures, student council and the ABA students helped make these chains and helped hang them. In the morning announcements, we also highlight some of the answers that the students gave. We have students in Sam's who are unique because they always wear their hair in braids, know CPR, and are really good at drawings. Suggestion of the day for helping to make Sam's a safer place is remembering to push your chair in. We have students in Sam's who are unique because they are bilingual, play an instrument, and love to smile. Suggestion of the day for helping to make Sam's a safer place is to keep all four legs of your chair on the floor. We have students in Sam's who are unique because they can solve Rubik's Cubes, are left-handed, and can do backflips. Suggestion of the day for helping to make Sam's a safer place is to walk in the hallways. We also sold Unity bracelets at lunch. They were $1 and they are bright orange. We also had a Spirit Week at Sam's. Here are some pictures that represent the Spirit Week. These are Walk in Someone Else's Shoes Day, Twin Day, and Orange Day, which we celebrated on Wednesday. Over 250 students wore orange on Unity Day. Thank you.
Before you leave, are there any questions from the board members?
No, just want to say thank you, Katie. We appreciate your time.
No problem.
So, Katie, not to make your time too much longer here. What was the genesis? What was the initial idea? Why Unity Day? What made that theme come forward for you and the student council?
Well, we wanted to really highlight this because I feel like we struggle with that a little bit in Sam's, and I think that this could promote and maybe it helps. It makes like,
I can help.
yeah.
So Unity Month it's either a national or an international thing. It's always like the third Wednesday in October. The orange represents safety, so like trying to keep the school safe, but also it goes along with anti-bullying. And so the theme is really inclusion, acceptance of each other. October is also anti-bullying month, so we tried to put the two of those together. So this was something we did last year on a smaller scale, and then we wanted to do it a little bit bigger this year. We actually gave we're going to do them tomorrow after school, rewards for the top 2 teams that wore the most orange on Wednesday, so they'll get a bracelet and a candy. So I think, like she said, we were just trying to promote including each other. Also, why we had the ABA kids help as well. So just trying to focus on being kind to each other and trying to do it in a different way. Walk in someone else's shoes. They wore 2 different shoes. They didn't actually wear someone else's shoes. So just to clarify that one.
Go ahead, Dr. Goetz.
Yeah, sounds great. I'm curious about what you were raising money, I guess, by selling the bracelets for $1. What were you? What's
That was
the
just
plan?
to cover the cost of the bracelets, and then
okay.
they were a reward for the team that wore. That's something that we're kind of struggling with, is having middle school students purchase something if it's not food or drink related. So I'm hoping if we do it more often, that maybe that's something that will happen. We are right now selling treat bags. That's going to go towards the PTO for field trips. So if we do it more, or we just keep doing food and drinks, we'll see.
Cool. Thanks.
Katie, I had just one more question. What was your favorite part or the most successful part of this this activity?
I think the Spirit Week was the most successful because on the last slide, we had over 250 students wear orange on Wednesday. So I think that was definitely one of our biggest sessions.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to invite the High School Student Activism Club to come forward.
Hi. Sorry. My name is Treslin Staggs. I'm the president of the High School Student Activism Club. And yeah. So basically what I'm here to say and tell you guys, present to you, is that it's election season, guys. And my club would like everybody to know that registering to vote when you're eligible and voting in every election is a great way to be an activist in your community, state, and country. Registering to vote, no matter if you do or not, is just really impactful. And we're excited to let you guys know that our club held a voter registration drive, reaching out to over 70 SASHA students who are now 18 or will be 18 by election day. We contacted these potential voters either a personalized birthday card or a direct email, both of which provided them with instructions on registering to vote. Mr. Martin made the cards. Some of the student activism club members, myself included, hand wrote like little notes being like, hey, you should vote or you should register. And hand delivered them to them being like, this is for you, happy birthday, you should do this. It takes 5 minutes. So because we, as a club, being activists, it's like one of the biggest things that we can do in our community is to vote and just to see how important it is because we get, yeah, anyways. But yeah, so additionally to that, this Thursday evening at 7 p.m., right here in this very library, we are holding our 4th Shippensburg Area School District School Board Candidates Forum. The forum is not a debate, but an opportunity for candidates to answer questions from a variety of stakeholders in the district. Using surveys that we sent out to all the students, staff, and public, we've gathered questions from student district employees and the general public. We will present 2 questions from each group to the candidates. Each candidate will have a timed opportunity to present their responses without interruption. This year, the forum will be moderated by our special guest, SASHA's journalism teacher and Channel 74 producer, Mr. Michael Peters. And so far, we have 6 out of the 8 candidates that we've invited confirm that they will be coming. So that's really exciting. But yeah, so our club, Student Activism Club, hopes that you will consider joining us either in the live audience here or by viewing the live stream on the school district's YouTube channel. It's a great opportunity to know the candidates, and of course, we hope all registered voters will vote on November 7th. And to expand on the great opportunity to get to know the candidates, the way that I have been advertising this is saying that you guys make a lot of impactful decisions about our education. And I think it's very important for students and parents alike to know what you guys do and see how much of an impact you make. So I'm really excited, and I hope to see you guys all there this Thursday. Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about writing letters to your legislators?
I like sending them an email every once in a while.
Okay. Because we have a grant that the district is trying to get to help with some of our construction projects we're working on, and I am certain that the folks who pull the strings to decide whether or not we get that grant would appreciate hearing from students, not just from stodgy old board members like us. If it's okay, I think I will contact Mr. Martin and send him the information, and then you
Yeah,
all can
100%.
start writing some letters to our elected officials.
Yeah,
Sound good?
that sounds amazing.
Okay.
And if he doesn't answer the first time, keep messaging him.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly sharing the student experience with our end of the day dismissal would probably be pretty insightful to those
Yeah.
legislators.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I just want to say thank you. I talked to Mr. Martin a little bit last week, but I just want to say thank you to you as the students at the Activism Club for really, this is like you guys have done most of the legwork for organizing the forum Thursday. So it's really cool, and I hope that you get a great turnout for that. And also to go into your kind of pushing people to vote.
Yeah.
It's going to age them a little bit, but I learned like the value of voting from my high school government teacher, Mr. Zahos, who's still here. But it's like nothing. Absolutely, it's the one thing that I think everybody should do the moment they turn 18. So thank you.
Yeah, we all get really excited during voting season at the Sasha Student Activism Club.
I just want to say thanks for being here. I had the opportunity to attend 2 years ago, and I was super impressed by the interviewing skills and our student AV club, who during COVID had stuff in every single room that the candidates were in. And I would encourage the public, if you haven't attended any of these events that our students do put on, to come and see them in action and to see how we are empowering our students to have a voice. And elections matter, and they have consequences too. So get out and vote. By not voting, you're definitely not helping. Thank you, Treslin.
Yeah, of course. Any other comments, concerns, questions?
I just also want to applaud your efforts. Just remind everybody at home what time and where the candidate forum is again.
The candidate forum is in this library that we're in right now at 7 p.m. Thursday night, October 26th, and it will go till around 9.
And if they're at home watching on YouTube, they can just watch on the same
Yeah.
YouTube channel, right? Awesome. Do you know how many of those 70 invitations to register to vote were accepted? And
I don't, but I know from the people that I handed them out to, a lot of them were already registered, or I did have I think 3 people screenshot their registered, like, their confirmation and send it to me. And I was like, oh, yay. Very proud.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Treslin. Next up, switching gears a little bit, one of the biggest things that we do is prepare young people for careers and the next steps that they take in their life, and an important part of that is internships and career advisory. So here to speak with us tonight is Mrs. Akers, and Mrs. Akers. So if you want to take us through, the things that we're doing, in the career coordinator department to get, our students those experiences that they need. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Krista Akers. I am the career coordinator at the high school. Thank you all for having me this evening. I'd like to talk to you about 4 things that are going on currently at the high school. We'll talk a little bit about the work-based learning opportunities. We'll talk about the benefits of our membership with the PCD committee, the Partnership for Career Development. We'll talk about some other career opportunities. And lastly, I would like to talk to you a little bit about the Career Advisory Council. So first, there are several new faces here since the last time I spoke to you guys. So I wanted to start with an overview or summary of what all our work-based learning program entails. So the work-based learning program is offered to seniors and select juniors. To be approved, the job must align with the student's college and or career goals. So for example, if a student wants to be a teacher, we're not approving them to work at McDonald's. We're wanting them to get into, most of our teachers are actually even in placements in our district. Okay, so we're making sure that these placements align with what the students want to do in their future. Experiences can be paid or volunteer and last from anywhere from 1 marking period to a full year. They also can last from anywhere from 1 block to all day. Students are required to work a minimum of 15 hours per week and or 3 days per week. And then in addition to actually going out to work every day, students are assigned weekly assignments through a Google Classroom platform. Each week they do typically at least 2 things, where one is like an online simulation, and then secondly, they have to submit their work hours to me to confirm the days and times that they are at work. Currently, this semester, we have 30 students participating in our work-based learning programs, and we have 18 businesses that are hosting students this semester. We have new placements this year to include the Tucky Company, E.W. Mainhart, Jennings Chevrolet, Forrester Lincoln Mercury, and Green Ridge Village. And obviously, we continue our great partnerships with Volvo, JLG, and again, our own district, to name a few. Next, another great program that is just exploding are our medical internships. We have been a part of the WellSpan HCI program for over 10 years, and we do continue to be very active in that platform. We have 7 students that will be participating in the WellSpan program in the spring semester. And I am excited that this year we have 2 new programs that we have students in. We currently, in the fall here, have had 1 student participate in the Holy Spirit Hospital medical internship. And in the spring, we will have 1 student participating in the UPMC hospital internship. Again, these programs are very similar to the WellSpan program, obviously just at different hospitals. Another big win for our program, after trying for many years, I have finally also gotten a student in our ACE internship program. ACE standing for Architecture, Construction, and Engineering. And this program is held every Thursday at the Cumberland Perry Technical School. I want to say it's 5:30 to 6:30, somewhere in there. I can't remember the exact times, but we do have, I'm assuming she's still going. I know she definitely has been to at least 2 sessions, and it is weekly. It started in October and it will run through March, okay? Last, under our work-based learning programs, I have Lydia Lyman here with me this evening, and she would like to briefly talk about what her work-based experience has been for her so far this year. She is a volunteer at the SCRC. So, Lydia?
Hi, as Mrs. Akers said, I'm Lydia Lyman. I'm a senior at this school. And I'm also an intern at Shippensburg Community Resource Coalition. A little bit about that. It's an organization that compiles any resources in Cumberland and Franklin County into kind of one file and creates many additional ones for the people of Shippensburg, and any resources from housing assistance to food health to medical help. I've known what I wanted to do for my career since 7th grade, and I'm really lucky to be that kind of person. One day I woke up and I said, Lydia, what do you want to do with your life? How do you want to help the world? How do you want to impact it? And the first thing that came to mind was, I want to help people. And from then on, I have striven for becoming a social worker. And because of the co-ops program, I'm able to be a part of SCRC, and I'm very grateful for that. Most of what I do at SCRC is assisting and shadowing social workers and helping when I can. I also create infographics or flyers for any events or posts that we might do to inform and help anyone else. I also occasionally, volunteer and shadow other organizations to see what are other resources in the area. On Mondays, I go to the Page Center at the Shippensburg University. On Wednesdays, I help volunteer and set up bingo at the Senior Center. And on Thursdays, I go to Tri-County, and which mostly involves case management, and I shadow a worker there. I've gotten lots of good exposure, and I've learned a lot more about social work than I would have been able to if I didn't do this program, and I'm lucky for that. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
What do your father think about you taking that program?
I think he's pretty proud. I wouldn't know what social work was if it wasn't my social work professor father. So I'm grateful for that.
You do know what the pay for a social worker is, don't you?
I do. I'm not doing it for the pay.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Lydia. So moving on, I'd like to talk about some other amazing things that are happening in our career development. As I mentioned, we are a member of the Partnership for Career Development, or PCD organization. This organization has been invaluable to our success pushing these career initiatives out. And I am proud and happy to be one of the people here in our district that represents us to this committee. I attend the monthly meetings that they have that talk about and bring to us all of the great career opportunities that are available. I also have begun to attend as many as I can of their Cradle to Career Alliance meetings. These meetings also meet about once a month. The biggest take that I'm getting from the Cradle Career meetings, this group is really trying to push the career initiatives out K through 12. Okay, obviously we are really good here in the high school level, but they are really also looking for ways that they can start expanding career initiatives in, for example, our K through 8 level. They have a career symposium, my last bullet point there. They have a career ready symposium on November 6th, and there are specific tracks at this symposium for elementary educators, middle level educators, and high school level educators. Again, obviously, we have a presence in this committee from the high school level, and I'm hoping in the future we can grow and get maybe more of a presence in the elementary levels through this organization as well. The PCD is one of the organizations that help organize many of the field trips that we take our students on, and the networking with them has been awesome. If they haven't organized one of the career trips, I have probably met someone at one of their events that helped me create a career field trip of our own. So again, I thank you for the continued support and membership in that organization. So as mentioned, the PCD does help with a lot of the career field trips. So far this year, we have attended a total of 6 field trips and 40 students have attended. As of now, there are over 20 trips planned for this school year, and this number is constantly changing. As new things come about, again, as I meet more people at some of the PCD events, more trips a lot of times come to fruition. Right now, like I said, there are over 20 planned for this school year. In addition, this year, we are strongly moving forward that our grade 11 students will be participating in mock interviews. I have been working closely with our junior English classes, and we've also been meeting with Shippensburg University's Career Center to help us make that happen this year as well. And then some of you may remember our very successful career day last year. We are looking to mimic that and hopefully even expand and grow that as well. That will be on April 17th this year. And again, it will be very similar to last year in that we will have some guest speakers and a job fair for that event. Lastly, this evening, I'd like to mention the Career Advisory Council. I have, as of this year, taken over as one of the main planners of that event, obviously in conjunction with Dr. Donat. My vision for the Career Advisory Council is to kind of streamline our SASD employees a little bit. I really don't feel as though all 3 administrators from the building need to attend, or all 3 guidance counselors from the building need to attend. I feel like 1 representative from each building in those areas is more than enough, and then obviously they can go back and report out to their building. The reason I feel this way is I feel like this committee should be about bringing community involvement, and by streamlining the number of district employees, that's allowing me to invite new community members and new businesses to come be a part of this committee and help us again expand our career initiatives. So for this year, so far I have invited 7 new businesses and organizations. I want to say 3 to 5 have replied that they are going to attend our meeting. And then the meetings, the first one for this school year is this Wednesday at the intermediate school. And then our year-end meeting will be on May 8th of this year as well. Well, technically next year, but this school year. Again, thank you for having me. I appreciate your time and all that you do. Does anyone have any questions for me or Lydia?
I have one.
Yes.
What is the criteria for a business to become involved with this?
I'm sorry, what is the criteria?
What is the criteria for a business to be involved in this?
Honestly, any business that is willing, we love to have them. If students are going to be under the age of 18, we will require the direct supervisor of the student to obtain their clearances to be able to work with our students. But outside of that, as long as they can accommodate the minimum of 15 hours a week or 3 days a week, any business can participate. Obviously, there are other things such as, child labor laws have to be followed. Like, a student can't run a student under the age of 18 can't operate like a meat slicer, for example. So, all those types of things have to apply as well. But honestly, any business that is able and willing and interested to take a student, we would love to have their involvement.
And if a student takes one of these positions and they become concerned, do they come to you, or what happens? How would the student go there and the person's abusive? The employee that I'm working for, he may not be the owner, but the employee, he's abusive. What does the student do?
That's kind of part of my job, whereas I can be the liaison between the student and the employer. Students, again, they do complete some online assignments, and I believe the one that they did last week was even called Preventing Workplace Violence. So they do get some instruction on how to handle those virtually. But again, I visit the students as often as I can. My goal is to get out and visit the students on the job at least once per once per marking period. Also, as I mentioned, the students submit to me a weekly time card. Part of that time card is that they type in a description of what they've done at work this week. And honestly, that time card is where I have found a lot of students have opened up about things. Like if you remember, I think it was 2 years ago, we had one of our students working in the cafeteria at Nancy Grayson did the Heimlich maneuver on a student. And I had no idea that happened until I read it in her weekly log that she submitted her hours to me. So a lot of times things like that come up as they're submitting their weekly logs to me about what they did at work that week.
Okay.
Thanks so much for coming. I actually have several questions, and don't take this as a challenge in any sense. I'm just trying to understand, and I'm hoping that the rest of the board understands. So the work-based learning, we've got, you said 30 students?
This semester I have 30 students out, yes.
And so help me understand, so about 30 each semester? Is that how many you expect next semester?
Yeah, these 30, usually these 30 will stay all year.
Okay.
And then, as the year goes on and student schedules are freed up a little bit more add on. So yes, by second semester, seniors are starting to have a little bit more flexibility in their schedule. And yeah, typically I get about another 20 to 30 students come second semester.
Oh, cool. So about 50 total in a class maybe participate? Is that?
Yes.
Okay. And is that, I'm curious, is that the right number, or would you like to have way more people?
Well, obviously I would love to have it way more, but I mean, even with what I have right now, there's not enough hours in my day. So, I'd love for that number to get a lot higher, but, with only having one person in this position, there's really, I feel like if there was a lot more, it would be hard for me to keep up.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering, I mean, I've talked to Lydia a little bit about her job, her position, whatever, and we heard her talk about it here today, and it sounds like she's getting some really, really valuable experience, and she's learning a lot more sort of through this experience than she would, say, in a classroom or reading a book or whatever, which is awesome. And I'm just doing some math. So if we've got like about 50 students participating, that's maybe about a fifth, a little less than a fifth of our students. And I'm wondering, I don't know, I'm wondering how we scale it. Like if it's a really good thing.
Well, and I will say this,
possible to scale it up?
my numbers don't reflect the students that are in similar programs through like our special education classes and that kind of thing. So, the number, these are just the numbers that are in your regular ed, academic, cooperative education, placement. So, and technically the number is much higher if you would include those students that go out through special education, for example.
Okay. And so I'm curious if you have like any data on like outcomes, like how many of the, I don't know, do students complete some sort of thing about like, hey, I learned a ton, or this was a really great experience, or do we know if this helps students in whatever their next step is after high school, or?
I do know, like JLG, for example, well, both JLG and Volvo are pretty good at telling me which students they're going to hire on after high school lets out. So I would have some statistics as far as which of those students continued on at JLG and or Volvo. Obviously, most of the students that stay within the district and are placed with teachers, a lot of them definitely continue on. I don't have anything formal. Obviously, again, this program is still relatively new for us. It started the year COVID hit. So we are still kind of, working out some of the logistics of it and, some of that feedback piece and all that. So I appreciate the suggestion. I definitely can look into doing some sort of exit survey for this year's students.
Well, to be clear, I mean, I think it's awesome, and I think it fits exactly in like the profile of the grad that we've just approved. And if this is all about like student engagement and providing sort of meaningful activities, and so it seems to me, I mean, my gut is saying like, yeah, let's scale this, right? This is a good thing. This is exactly what we should be doing. If we need to put more resources into it, then there's value in it. But of course, in selling that, it's like you kind of need the data, right? Like what data do we have to sort of demonstrate,
need
in an evidence-based fashion, like that this really is providing the value that we think it probably is. So
yeah, I appreciate that. I'll look into that for this school year.
Over the years, used to be, is farming still a big thing for kids in school?
Yes, I have. This year, I don't quite have as many out at farms as what I have in the past. Currently, I believe I only have one student out on a farm, but last year, I would say I had probably 5 that was out at a farm.
It would still seem like a low number for, we used to be a farm district.
Well, and again, I'm not sure, Mrs. Beer sometimes has students sent out on work-based learning as well, so she might have some students out through the FFA program as well.
Okay, thank you.
So I also want to ask about the medical internships. I think you said you had 8 students in medical internships. Is that beyond this 30, or is that?
That's beyond the 30.
That's beyond the 30. And are those career tech students, or are those?
No, those are regular education students.
Okay, all right.
Just to piggyback off, can you kind of describe the whole, like the Holy Spirit process?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think like that's worth diving into, because that experience is.
Yes, so again, the WellSpan program, we'll have 7 in that program. The Holy Spirit program, we have 1 student in that one right now. And then the UPMC program, we will have 1 student in that program in the spring. They all are very, very similar. So the students go to the hospital every day, anywhere between an hour and a half to 2 hours. And the first 9 weeks, whoever the supervisor or director is of the program, obviously it's someone different at each of the hospitals, they rotate the students through the various departments of the hospital. Anywhere even from laundry to the religious services, and everywhere in between. And so the students, again, the first 9 weeks, they're rotating through all of those areas. Then they pick 1 to 2 favorites, and they get to spend some additional time in whatever those favorite departments were. And then at the very end, they have to do a presentation describing in detail what they learned and where they now see their career going as a result of participating in the program. They usually have a graduation ceremony, and a lot of times these students also continue on to be actual volunteers in the hospital after the program is over. Of course, many of them do. I don't know, again, the exact statistics on this one either. I was asking the guidance office this morning. We know for sure there's at least 2 students in the last 10 years that have become doctors, and I really feel like it's probably much, much higher than that. It was just 2 students that they knew of off the top of their head.
So what do you think the main differences would be between, a student going through the career tech route with the practical nursing program and then this alternative?
This alternative is going to give them a more broad range of what is at the jobs that are available within the medical care system. Whereas career tech is more focused just to like maybe a nurse, for example. Whereas these programs, like I said, I mean, they're giving you everything from nursing to radiology to OBGYN. The list goes on and on.
Really tough to get. I think the hospitals were a little gun shy at first, but I think now that our students are in there and are having a good experience, I believe that everyone sees the value in it. And I've sat through some of those presentations, and it's a really kind of a powerful experience for them to rotate through those departments and then find one that speaks to them, and the things that they're passionate about.
Absolutely, yes. And a lot of times it's not the department that they thought that they were going to connect with.
So I said another question. I love all this stuff. So you talked about the field trips. You said you've had 6 so far this year with 40 students.
Yes.
So I assume a lot of those are the same students going on multiple field trips, but it doesn't seem like very many students?
Some of them, yes. However, the numbers are a little bit low because, again, this is through the PCD. So it's Big Spring, it's Shippensburg, it's Carlisle, it's Boiling Springs. So like each school may only be allowed to bring X number of students. Those are the trips through the PCD. Some of our other field trips, like for example, I am in the works right now of we did this last year as well, I'm trying to get Surgery Live going for this year, speaking of the medical profession, and like we're hoping to take 40 or 50 on that trip because that's not one that is necessarily attached to the PCD, so it gives us more room to bring a few more students.
You're gonna have to explain what Surgery Live is because I'm letting my imagination.
Absolutely. So Surgery Live is run at the Whitaker Center up in Harrisburg, where the great big IMAX theater. The kids get to come in. We have a seat in there, and there is a. I'm not sure if it's an RN, but there is a medical professional that is on the floor with us at the Whitaker Center, and we are zooming in to the operating room at the local hospital. And so we are watching, and the doctor there is talking to us, and we're watching as he or she is taking the robotic, surgical whatever. Last year we saw a hysterectomy.
Holy
Sounds terrible.
Yes.
Wow. Well,
pretty amazing.
I was imagining a medical theater and junior mints and that sort of thing. but apparently junior mints aren't going to be transferred electronically, I guess. Wow, that's amazing. That sounds really cool. And then finally about the career day, you mentioned that, and I'm wondering how many students attend this. Is it mostly seniors too, or is it?
So again, I've been trying to build this every year. The first year I did that, I had about 10 guest speakers. Last year I was up to about 20. My ideal Career Day is that we have, 40 to 50 guest speakers, and every single teacher in this building would get one. And the students would then get to pick and choose which speaker they would get to go see. Again, we're building each year. So this past year, teachers that had Block 2 and Block 4 classes were assigned a speaker, and then if you were lucky enough to be in a teacher's class that was assigned a speaker, you got to hear the speaker. And again, it may or may not have been your interest. That was just the speaker that was assigned to your classroom. The speakers last year were targeted to 9th and 10th grade classrooms. And then the job fair we had down in the gym, if I'm remembering correctly, we had 30 to 40 businesses attend the job fair, and that was open to the students at lunch. And I remember Mrs. Luffy coming down to me, and she said, I just went to lunch duty, and I asked everybody where the students were, and they all said they were down here at the job fair. So I've been told the cafeteria was empty that day, and all the students were down at the job fair. So the job fair was open to all students that were in the building that day.
Nice. Well, if you need more volunteers for Career Day, you could probably pressure 9 folks around here to.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll make sure you all get on my mailing list.
Are the numbers, like the 30 students, the 18 business, is everything kind of on an upswing from past years, or is it more and more and more students
Yes.
and more businesses?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yes.
So just my last comment is I think this stuff is awesome. I think it's exactly what we should be doing, and I applaud your efforts, and I'm sure that you feel like you could do more with more. And I just encourage you to, bring your proposals to administration and let those filter up, because again, like these are exactly the kinds of things that we want to be doing to benefit our students. And I, if you feel like you can do more, with more, then please make sure that we know.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was at a co-op
Administration
conference
knows.
Thursday and Friday. I was at a co-op conference, and again, every PCD meeting I go to, the wheels start spinning. So I appreciate that, and I will definitely be reaching out in the future.
Yeah, and just in closing, I want to say thank you very much for your time tonight. Clearly, you're a one-woman show, and you are getting a lot of return on investment for this position. And I know we've had a couple conversations about what next steps can be, and we're eager to kind of explore those. So thank you very much, and kudos on a great job.
Thank you.
I will just one last thing. I will anecdotally say that the social work intern from last year met with me for advising to plan his next semester as a social work major at Shippensburg University. So,
Nice. And yeah, he's actually already come back to our building doing some shadowing here with our counselors here already as well. So
you're at least 1 for 1 at SCRC and the social worker.
yes, thank you.
And board, I just remind you that like on the agenda tonight is the STEM Summit, which is kind of mirrors a little bit of that career exploration. So great things happening in the world of career development. Thank you. Next up, I have a super brief construction update. So the biggest update is that we did submit our zoning variance request to the borough folks on Wednesday. We have about a month for them to review and give comments in light of or in preparation for a meeting in November. So much to do, but we're on track. I just want to let everyone know that process for the stadium pieces is on track. And also just a reminder, way back in the September 11th Site Logic presentation, we've had a lot of discussions about what we can do, what we can't do. Remember in that update, there was option 1, which did get us all the things that we wanted in terms of gym space, family consumer science, STEM, and music for a budget line item that was within our budget. So it's really going to be about what else can we put on that capital project in terms of, nice to have, want to have, need to have, but we're on track there as well. I have a meeting on Wednesday with EI and SiteLogic to continue that progress in refining that number down and value engineering that project. So I think, on my Friday update, I gave out the advocacy information Dr. Lyman referenced, and we just encourage all board members and the public to reach out to Senator Mastriano and Representative Irvin, just to express the needs that we have in terms of our loop. So a very brief update to say we are on track on all of our projects currently.
I have a question. You know me, I always got a question. SiteLogic, or the lady with the budget of the junior high, this year, when we was talking on the phone, did we supposed to get an account?
I think they're closing it out. We have a meeting tomorrow, Mr. Scott.
Would you let us know where we are?
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
That's all.
Any other questions, comments? All righty, well then we will end this meeting, and our regular meeting will begin in 15 minutes. Thank you.
something to be proud of.
I thought those big-
Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting, this planning and action meeting of the Shippensburg Area School District School Board to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jim Bard.
Here.
Mr. Levi Kressler.
Here.
Dr. Michael Lyman.
Here.
Mr. Kurt Noggle. Mr. Fred Scott.
Here.
Mr. Charlie Suiters.
Here.
Mrs. Becky Wolfinger.
Here.
Mrs. Steph Eberly.
Here.
Dr. Nathan Goetz.
Here.
Mr. Aryan Galkar.
Here.
Miss Lily Kell.
Here.
All right, if you please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we begin our deliberations this evening, let us once again be reminded of our duty to represent all of the children of this school community, regardless of age, sex, race, or creed, and regardless of need or ability. A reminder that this meeting is being live streamed and uploaded to the district's YouTube channel. May we now please have a moment of silence to reflect on our thoughts, plans, and actions on behalf of the students in the Shippensburg Area School District, and also in remembrance of Sherry Tasker, who was a 1975 graduate. All right, we're now to the citizens' comment period regarding action items. It doesn't appear that there is anyone that came to speak regarding any items that are on the agenda. Is there anyone that wants to speak? We have two comment periods, one at the beginning of the meeting for agenda items and one at the end of the meeting for items that are not on the agenda. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on anything that's on the agenda? Okay, great. All right, that brings us to student reports. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the agenda approval. I'm sorry, so are there any changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
All right, well then I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Wolfinger,
Second.
second by Mr. Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that. Student reports. Ms. Kell.
Thank you. The AP Art History class went to Philadelphia to visit the Penn Museum and the Philadelphia Museum of Art on October 19th. Sash's Minithon hosted their Gold Out games on the 19th at home, at the home volleyball game, and the home football game on the 20th. Collectively, over $1,000 was raised for 4 Diamonds. Student Activism Club passed out birthday cards to all students who are 18, encouraging them to register to vote. Jazz Band is currently accepting auditions for the 2023-2024 year. On October 31st, the Interactive Media Club will be hosting a Wii bowling tournament during Flex. The Powder Puff flag football game will be on November 14th. The Youth Advisory Council is accepting applications. They will be having their first meeting on October 25th. I will now pass the rest of the report to Aryan Gankar.
Thank you. Focus on Finance career trip will take place on November 2nd. This trip is for students interested in accounting, banking, wealth management, and finance analytics. A college application week was held last week to help students applying to college from the high school. For the middle school, all 8th graders went on a hiking trip last week on a culminating activity for their hiking unit. Unity Day was a success with compassion chains hung in the lobby for Spirit Week and the sale of Unity bracelets. Sam's PTO is selling treat bags for $2 a piece. They will be distributed to the recipients on October 30th and 31st. 6th and 8th graders will be completing the pay survey today and tomorrow during the Greyhound block. Finally, there will be a Cherry Dale fundraiser assembly this Wednesday, clubs on Thursday, and PBIS celebration on Friday.
Thank you. Ms. Kell, Mr. Gankar. Let's see. There would be no Franklin County Career Center report. Is that correct? Yeah.
Meetings this Thursday.
Meetings this week. Great. We had several committee meetings over the past couple of weeks. First, the policy committee.
Too long for me. You take it.
No, so the policy committee met on October 16th. You will see those on the agenda for approval. Some of the policies pertain to what Ms. Akers, just kind of revamping some of that paperwork. We are still plugging away, and sadly, one of our upcoming meetings, I'm afraid that the miniature support, emotional support miniature pony will no longer be allowed. So beware, like that will be coming up for approval. We have a policy that allows emotional support miniature ponies
Okay.
As of now.
as of now.
Have we ever had a miniature support pony that you're aware of?
Not yet.
So get them in while you can.
All right. The facilities committee committee met.
I'm still stuck. Sorry.
Does anyone have a report? Facilities
Yeah.
committee.
Yeah. So yeah, we met on October 17th. There were lots of conversation, lots of questions, I guess, were kind of asked ahead of time. And so Mr. August presented, answers to the questions that were kind of sent to him ahead of time. He also provided some enrollment information, which I believe you've also passed along to all the board members already.
Correct.
Okay. Kind of some of the biggest conversations surrounded discussion on why the cafeteria was removed from the schematic designs and how we got from it being there to not being there. We discussed elementary and the enrollment, whether it is consistent enrollment or a bubble. I think the majority of us kind of still feel, and again, I guess maybe I'll speak for myself on this, that we need to know what the cost is before we can kind of move forward with some of the decision making as far as how many classrooms, what it would cost for elementary as a kind of broad plan with the amount of money that we have to use to spend for our borrowing. There was some talk and discussion about K1, 2, 3 realignment again. And then a little bit of discussion about whether, we needed to consider borrowing more money or not. And the broad plan that we had months back been presented with, that the path forward to get to the elementary schools was for us to save for it. And so some of the discussion surrounded that, are we actually going to be able to save for it since we continue to run a deficit budget?
Thank you. And the athletics committee.
Yeah, we're going to tag team this report. I'm going to first turn it over to Levi to give an update on our fall sports kind of outcomes. He has the latest.
I do. Fall sports finished up. I think we had 2 teams that qualified for playoffs. Boys varsity soccer had a big home win last week over Northern, and then beat Big Spring on the road, which qualified them for the last seed in districts. They're actually playing right now in Hershey. Last I heard, about 10 minutes ago, they were down 1-0. Hershey's the number 1 seed. They've only allowed 2 goals all season. Our boys are hanging tough. We're down 1-0. It's about halftime. And then also the field hockey team qualified for districts. I think they're the 13 seed. They play Wednesday night, 7 o'clock at Elizabethtown. So best of luck to them as well.
Thanks, Levi. At the athletic committee meeting, we previewed the winter sports. We spent especially a lot of time talking about our newest sport, girls wrestling, which is approved and going to be our newest varsity sport. So we're excited for that. We have a new athletic trainer starting November 1st. Winter sports signups are imminent. If we have enough 9th grade girls sign up, we may be able to have a 9th grade girls basketball team. So if you know 9th grade girls who are interested in basketball, encourage them to sign up. We also discussed ways to just get more of our, especially elementary school kids, involved in basketball so that our sort of farm system keeps producing kids for our basketball teams. Just for the public to know, there are a number of open coaching positions. So if you are someone who's interested in coaching in the district, please apply. We discussed this security, the additional security that we have been paying for, and the committee as a whole felt like we were getting good service from that organization. We plan to continue to use them. The administration is proposing that we had, and this was in Mr. August's report to the board on Friday, an athletic field maintenance position, which is a typical practice in surrounding districts, someone that focuses on just maintaining our athletic fields and isn't pulled in other directions to mow lawns or unclog toilets or anything like
Excuse me. No, I can't hear you over here.
Oh, sorry.
Can you repeat that?
We're at an athletic field maintenance position. So one maintenance person who does nothing other than maintain our athletic fields and focuses solely on the athletic fields.
Considering that. You were considering that.
The administration is proposing that. Yeah. And then our athletic director is looking at the very difficult options for track practice for the spring 2024 track, when we will not have a track because it will be under construction, and she is trying to find the best possible solution for that very difficult situation. That's all.
Okay, curriculum report.
Good evening. I had hoped to be able to say this while Amanda Kirkpatrick was still here. One of the big shout outs we have is to our middle school gifted teacher who will be presenting at a state conference. Her topic is called Making Connections, Developing Leaders with Compassion and Kindness. And it's a very large deal to be accepted at that type of conference, so kudos to her. Secondly, at the intermediate school this past week, they had Breakfast with a Buddy, which is one way in which we use our title funds to promote family engagement. At that event, it was very well attended, 2 different days. They had families come in with their student and provided breakfast, and students were able to practice math skills and reading skills, and there were books available, and it was a packed house. It was a really beautiful example of the ways in which our district engages with families. The third thing that I have for you today is that this past week we also have been doing our elementary data meetings. These data meetings are when they use screening information for both reading and math, and what happens is the building principal, the reading specialist, the math specialist, and the classroom teacher meet together and review all of the data that is available from some of our screening tools, and then they look at ways to group the students for effective small group instruction and interventions, and they also are equipped with specific strategies to help those students succeed. I sat in on several of them, and again, we should be really proud of the ways in which our educators are using data to make informed decisions for instructional strategies. And finally, we should have more data available soon. The Future Ready data will be released later this month, and we hope to be able to present that data on how our district is doing by building to you sometime in November. Any questions?
I do have one question for you. So I've been noticing, I'm in the schools every Thursday, Friday to read at both elementary schools. And so I've really been noticing a lot of second grade and third grade in particular of students that are really having many struggles with reading and writing. And in part with that, our ESL population.
Yep.
Not being able to communicate at all to these students. So what are we doing currently to combat both of those challenges?
Sure. There are several things that we're doing. First of all, and from a curriculum perspective, we are focusing our core curriculum to equip students with reading skills. One of the things that we're doing for teaching development is a training called LETTERS, which is Literacy Essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. And that's been a very intensive 2-year training that we're moving our primary teachers through in a cohort model. Then additionally, we have our title funds, which are helping us to provide positions for reading specialists and for coaches to be able to provide additional support to teachers, teaching them how to reach students that are struggling. So we are working very hard with these things. And yes, we have our English language learners, and they've just completed all of their initial screenings, and they'll start their interventions this week, actually.
So what does an intervention for them look like?
It depends on what level they've scored at. So there's 4 levels from what I understand. And again, this is not my area of expertise, so I have to rely on the people that I work with to explain it to me at this point. But there's 4 levels. The level 1 are for the students that have the least competent with English language. When they get up to level 4, they're ready to be, level 4.5 is when they're ready to be reintroduced to the classroom without support and just ongoing monitoring. So the interventions could look like helping them pronounce the English language, recognizing common words, being able to converse in simple conversations with everyday word items. So that's the support that's provided. In some cases, the students are pulled out of their classroom for intensive support. In other instances, the teacher goes into the classroom and helps make sure the student is catching what's going on with the instruction. It depends on where they are on that continuum of need.
Okay.
You, excuse me, as curriculum, you set the classes to the kids, or it's just a class, and or the kids have to fit in the mold. You know what I'm saying?
I think so. You're asking if there's specific classroom space and a designated teacher, or if it's a pull-out program. Is that your question?
No, I'm asking like English, math, those things. Like let's say in the 3rd grade, everybody has the same curriculum, correct?
Yes,
So the teacher's supposed to teach that curriculum.
that's correct.
And what do we do about the kids that have that need emotional support? She's supposed to teach. Are we facilitating that enough? You know what I'm saying? That kids come home, has emotional problems, that families argue and all that kind of stuff. And the teacher has to deal with that. Are we providing enough support for that?
That's a great question. I think the answer is there's always more we can do to support teachers and to support students be successful in an academic setting. We are supporting through behavior modification. We are supporting in some instances through classroom aids where applicable, but there is always more that we can do to support students.
Mr. Scott, those individuals would have an individual education plan, an IEP, that would designate what their supports are, and that's what our special ed department would deliver. And they would work on those skills often in the classroom and sometimes in pull-out situations.
I understand it was for special ed, but like the normal child, he's come from a family that's drug addicts or alcoholics or facing domestic problems all the time. They don't get that, what you're saying.
Well, I mean, they could, Mr. Scott. It would depend on how well they're functioning within the classroom. And then we have what are called child study teams, where if a student is struggling, we would first attempt what I would call tier 1 interventions in the classroom to see if that helps. Additional supports are things that the classroom teacher is able to do. Those can vary in severity and range. If we find that student is still not having success, that child study team would refer that student for an evaluation to determine whether they would qualify for additional supports. So those students are part of the bigger picture of the school and the conversations that are happening with grade levels.
Maybe I'm not making myself clear, but a child comes to school, tries to do the best they can in school, but the home life stinks. And the teacher doesn't have the time to devote to that child or those children, because we all hear, everybody ever says every day now that kids need support. And I'm not blaming the school district, I'm not blaming the teachers or anything. I just like to know what can we do to make sure those kids that don't show the signs of special education are supported, academically and emotionally.
I mean, I think that's what teachers do every day, Mr.
I'm
Scott. And you know, like sometimes kids go through that child study team and do qualify. Sometimes they don't, but there's always recommendations. And to your point, I think, you know, it often comes down to the relationship that they grow with their teacher, to kind of help them with the behavioral side of things. You know, and then the academics, you know, certainly go hand in hand with that. So there's no student that I'm aware of that isn't on someone's radar, or, you know, being talked about, or having a level of concern about them on a daily basis. You know, that's kind of what our teachers do.
And in addition, we also have guidance counselors and social workers in the school to help with students who are having crisis moments as well.
Yeah, it must have, come through that vein. So I'm not blaming anybody, but I just see on the news all the time they talk about kids falling through the cracks, or kids in a corner because their home life stinks, and they come to school, and then the teachers are left to try and fill the gap.
Yeah. To your point, school's often the safest, best place that they spend their day, and you know, like they look forward to coming. So, you know, we do it. You know, our teachers and amazing staff do everything they can, you know, to educate every kid every day. You know, and that's, we wouldn't have it any other way.
I just say I haven't heard any complaints or nothing. I just see it on the news, and I just wondered.
Yep.
We also have student assistants at both the middle school, high school, and elementary school.
I can't hear you over here.
I think you may need to turn it on. Yeah.
Hello? Oh, there we go. I said we also do have student assistance teams at the high school, middle school, and the elementary schools. So those are teams of teachers that meet to talk about students who might have some barriers to their learning, whatever that barrier might be. So they often would get referred to the student assistance team. And then also, like Dr. Donat said, we do have 3 school social workers, one at the elementary schools, one at the middle school, and one at the high school.
And those social workers, if a family is in crisis, like you've described, they do home visits. So they will actually go to the home and assess and try to flood whatever resources that family needs into that home to help assist them. That's one of the beautiful things.
Excuse me, I'm not blaming them,
No,
but I also know that you may identify the problem, but you don't have the cure. Because the home life stinks. I know the police officer, I went to many homes that I was scared for the child, but they didn't move him. The child was still there. And excuse me, I'm sorry, but I'm just looking at you, and you're telling me everything's in place for that child that has that situation. So that's all I was asking.
Ms. Wolfinger, was your question about ESL education answered?
No, I had one more, just a follow-up question. So when you were referring to the different levels, so level 1, I'm assuming, is completely, you know, non-speaking, not really understanding, kind of both ends of it. So is that child pulled out into a different classroom setting, or are they in that classroom all day and then get pulled out for periods of time?
It depends. At the high school, we have a dedicated teacher, and they will be in a classroom with her. The same applies for the middle school. Our elementary schools there's a lot of students, and we do not have that level of support, so almost all of the support there is pull out.
And that's my concern. So I will tell you guys my experience that I've had. I was talking with Nathan a little bit about this already. You know, I'm an emotional sap. Don't look at me, Dr. Lyman. You know, being in a classroom setting and walking up to a student and trying to help them, and them not being able to understand you, and you can't understand them, how can our teachers understand them and help them? And that's kind of, you know, my fear, is that there's so many of those kids being overlooked, and all we're doing is passing them from one grade into the next grade, and we're never supporting them. We have to embrace that they're our students, and we have to provide support to them.
Any other questions, comments for Dr. Donat? Did I say that right?
Donat.
We'll get it right eventually.
It's okay. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the superintendent's report.
I just wanted to update the board again with enrollment reports. We're slightly down from the last time I did this. Just wanted to point out particularly the attention to the number of teachers in each grade, because it does make a difference. As the board has certainly vested in kindergarten, first and second grade, but we do have a kind of a funnel down to larger numbers and starting in third grade. In my update, I did point out the bubble that exists in first and second grade, but wanted to show everyone that we're about 1140 at the elementaries, 556 at SACE, 848 at the middle school, and 1,122 students at the high school, with 22 in various placements for a grand total of 3688. We had been flirting with 3,700. I would imagine we're still flirting a little bit, but we are somewhat down. And we'll continue to plan moving forward as to how to mitigate those bubble years, with a variety of solutions. So just wanted to give you an update from the last time. Donation report. All right, and before I move on, any questions?
Mr. August, do you know how many ESL students we have in elementary?
In elementary, I don't know that I have the big breakdown in front of you, Dr. Donat. 98 out of 178. Is that so?
And that's K through 5?
Any other questions? Okay, on to our donation report. Like to recognize Carl L. Kramer Insurance for a $500 monetary donation to support the Veterans Day program at the high school. That is certainly coming up, and planning for that is well underway. Presbyterian Church of Shippensburg, a $100 donation to support the Senior High's Ignite Club. Robbie and Derry Miller, a $100 donation for the facility dog at the high school. Norai Media, $250 monetary donation to support the mini-thon that we heard of at the last board meeting. Salehammer Real Estate, $250 donation towards the mini-thon. And the following donations were made in memory of Wayne F. Craig III, and done so to support the Senior High FFA. Southside Livestock Market, Inc., $100 donation. Clifford and Valerie Swartz, $50 donation. Randy and Kathy Van Syak, $100 donation. Stephen G. Maneri Meats, $100 donation. Bergstrom Livestock Incorporated, $25 donation. And Jean Vokes, a $200 donation. That concludes my report.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to the consent agenda. Item 4A is approval of the minutes from our last meeting. 4B is the finance report, various payments of bills. 4C, authorization for payment of November and December bills. Since we only meet one time in November and December, administration recommends authorization to pay general fund, capital reserve fund, construction fund, and cafeteria fund bills for November and December. And then that information will be presented in January. And then 4D is the middle school e-hall pass system renewal. Information regarding that agreement is attached. And sorry, one more. 4E is approval of transportation drivers. Is there a motion to approve items? Or actually, first, would anyone like to take any of the items 4A through 4E separately? All right, then is there a motion to approve items 4A through 4E?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Wolfinger.
Second.
A second by Dr. Lyman. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. Item 4F is personnel. There are a number of leave requests, new appointments, resignations, et cetera. Is there a motion to approve item 4F?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Wolfinger,
Second.
Second by Mr. Kressler. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And then item 4G regarding personnel, administrative personnel. Ms. Fritz, assistant principal at Shippensburg Area High School, is requesting leave tentatively April through August. Is there a motion to approve item 4G?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Eberly,
Second.
second by Ms. Wolfinger. Any discussion?
Just like to wish her congratulations and throw out that October is National Principals Month, and just give a shout out to all of our administrators. They work hard every day for our students, and we are certainly going to miss Mrs. Fritz during her time off. Wishing her the best.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. All right, that brings us to our action agenda. Item 5A is repository sale consent. Tax Claim Bureau of Cumberland County has notified the district of a property that is no longer in a tax-generating status because the parcel has been placed in the county repository. The property has been offered for upset sale and judicial sale, but did not receive any bids. Is there a motion to approve item 5A?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Eberly. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Lyman. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Item 5B. This is a memorandum of understanding with Junior Achievement. Administration recommends approval of an MOU with the Junior Achievement STEM Summit. STEM Summit is a day-long program designed for 9th or 10th grade students held at a local high school. This program includes 8 or 9 sessions with science experiments, technology, engineering, math, competition, and trades modules. Is there a motion to approve item 5B?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Wolfinger,
Red Scott, second.
second by Mr. Scott. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, item 5C is in regards to a request for an additional part-time position. Before we have a motion on this item, the board is going to need to go into executive session to discuss this briefly, and we'll be back shortly.
Correct. I take it you won't be here when I get back.
I'm not sure yet. Maybe.
Your son start.
My older son or my younger son, they both applied, I would say in the fall. So my oldest son was his senior year, was right after COVID. So when they were only back like 3 times, so he just visiting a couple short, got accepted and chose the it's kind of hard.
All right, thank you everyone for your patience. Is there a motion to approve item 5C?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Wolfinger,
Second, Fred Scott.
second by Mr. Scott. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 5D is approval for new computer system program funded through the National Science Foundation grant. Administration recommends approval for Ms. Fowler, the STEM teacher at the high school, to participate in a grant funded through the National Science Foundation to implement Project Excite 2, exploring computation integrated into technology and engineering 2. Is there a motion to approve item 5D?
Fred Scott, make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Scott. Second by Ms. Wolfinger. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 5E, Effective School Solutions Modified Agreement. Administration recommends approval of the modifications to the original agreement with ESS, which the board approved on January 9th of this year to extend the current contract through June of next year at the high school and intermediate school. ESS also agrees to provide one additional full-time Pennsylvania mental health professional at the high school for the period of November of this year through June of next. And the costs are $62,200 for the extension of the current partnership. And $120,000 for the proposed expansion of services. Is there a motion to approve item 5E?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Dr. Lyman,
Second.
second by Mr. Kressler. Any discussion?
Could somebody explain? Can you tell me, explain it to me, please?
Sure, Mr. Scott. So last year we employed Effective School Solutions to provide some counseling services outside what we do through A-Lift. This counseling service does not require insurance. So we've maxed that out. There's still a need. This contract is slated to end in January because of the timing of when we approved it. Mrs. Zima was able to find funding within ESSER's funds that we had not spent, and also partnering with Mechanicsburg to bring on, not only continue these services, but also expand them, through the use of a partnership with Mechanicsburg. They're going to pay for a day. They're going to get the services of this person for a day during the week. We're going to employ them, the rest of the time. And again, it's a switch of some ESSER's money around, which will go away eventually. But it allows us to get a little more support, mental health support for our students.
This is not a one-time thing. We'll need this from now on, right?
Well, it depends, Mr. Scott. Yeah, currently we have it. Currently we have the funding to continue it. We're going to need to make an assessment on whether we can continue to provide it next budget season.
Okay, thank you.
Is this the one where that person's not in our school district, correct? They're not in the building.
They do come in, sir.
They do?
Yeah.
How often?
Depends on their schedule. I mean, I think, don't quote me, but I think they were seeing 15 kids at one point. A similar model, it's another model with, we use A-Lift counseling. So this is for another group of kids that doesn't necessarily have the same resources. So they're coming in and working with our kids, almost on a daily basis.
Any other discussion, questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 5F, AT&T mobile hotspots. Administration recommends the approval of the agreement with AT&T to purchase hotspots. We currently have 59 active hotspots, and the number of hotspots needed for secondary and Keola students is increasing. The new proposal will provide the district with 100 hotspots at a cost of $16 each, $16 a month, or $1,600 a month. This will save the district approximately $700 a month compared to what we are currently paying. And, This will lock us into a contract for 2 years. Is there a motion to approve item 5F?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Eberly,
Second, Fritz going.
second by Mr. Scott. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Item 5G is a memorandum of understanding between the district and the Shippensburg Area Educational Support Professional Association. Administration recommends the approval of the MOU between the district and the association to ensure that all bargaining unit members employed by the district as of July 1, 2022 shall receive 2 additional years to their years of service as outlined in Appendix A1 of the collective bargaining agreement. Copy of the MOU is attached. Is there a motion to approve item 5G?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Wolfinger,
Second.
second by Dr. Lyman. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And item 5H is related. This is Shippensburg Area Educational Support Professional Association's collective bargaining agreement for from now through the year 2026. Administration recommends the approval of the deletions, additions, and revisions to the collective bargaining agreement, and the proposal is attached. And is there a motion to approve item 5H?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Wolfinger,
Second.
second by Dr. Lyman. Any discussion? I'm not positive, but I think for issues like this, we're supposed to do a roll call vote. So we will do a roll call vote just in case. Roll call, please.
Mr. Jim Bard.
Yes.
Mr. Levi Kressler.
Yes.
Dr. Michael Lyman.
Yes.
Mr. Fred Scott.
Yes.
Mr. Charlie Suiters.
Yes.
Mrs. Becky Wolfinger.
Yes.
Mrs. Steph Eberly.
Yes.
Dr. Nathan Goetz.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. All right, item 5I is an expulsion waiver. In this case, the parent has waived their right to a formal student discipline hearing before the Board of School Directors. Is there a motion to approve item 5I?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Ms. Eberly,
Second.
second by Ms. Wolfinger. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, that brings us to the discussion agenda. Item 6A is the appointment of the Title IX coordinator. This is merely a formality that our Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. DeLong, will be our Title IX coordinator. 6B is a request to form a new club, form the Multicultural Club at the high school. Item 6C has to do with district social media accounts. And that, let's see, Dr. Stevens, Director of Technology, oversees all social media accounts for the district and serves as the primary contact person for these accounts. Item 6D is approval to apply and accept 2 PDF food service equipment grants. So these are applying for grants to replace a piece of equipment. What was it again? Steamers. Steamers in the middle school and the high school. Item 6E is additional option through PennServe. Administration recommends the board provide district administration with the authority to secure a Roth option to the district's 403B plan. So this is an additional sort of retirement administrative, a tool for administering retirement plans for district employees. 6F is a updated title change and job description for the Director of Technology. Dr. Stevens' present title is Technology Coordinator. This would update his title and then update the job description as well to be more in line with his present duties. And 6G is a title change and updated job description for the Executive Assistant to the Superintendent. And then item 6H is a variety of policies for first reading and discussion. And item 6I is an MOU between the district and the Education Association. Administration recommends the approval of the MOA between the district and the association regarding supplemental positions and stipends paid for yearly contracts through the district. All right, so we've got items A through I. This is your time to ask questions or discuss any of these items. Should you have any questions or comments regarding any of these items?
I'm happy to see us being a little more organized about our district's social media accounts and designating official social media accounts. As a happy side note, I hear Meadow has a great Instagram page. So, and that's on the list of official social media accounts, which I thought was pretty great. But it's nice that now the community knows what the official social media accounts are for the district. So this is an important step forward for us in our kind of effort to keep our brand pure and our messaging.
Sir.
Well, in line with that, I do have a question. I mean, how is the logo going to be impacted? Is there going to be any copywriting done to our logo for the school district that other entities can then not use?
So I actually encountered this last year. So school districts have a base kind of understood trademark on their colors and symbols. And so we don't necessarily need to apply for one. We already kind of have one. Should there be a conflict, we would, obviously just work our way through, low-level legal communication to stop any kind of infringement on it or use that doesn't reflect our messaging or branding. So my understanding is we don't need to necessarily apply for a formal trademark.
I would look into that a little bit.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions? All right, if anything comes up, please bring your concerns to the superintendent, administration for addressing. All right, that brings us to our second citizens comment period for any items that were not on the agenda. I believe we have two people who have wanted to address concerns. First, Roxy Lehman. All right, so let me just read through the boilerplate here. As you come to the podium, please identify yourself by name and indicate whether you're a member of the district. Please address all comments to the board as a whole and make sure they are in the form of the statement. Questions will be taken under advisement. Responses to questions will be offered after due deliberation and will be provided by the superintendent at the direction of the board within a few days of the board meeting. Everyone is allowed 3 minutes for comments. Comments relative to private student matters or personnel issues should be directed to the appropriate school authority outside of this meeting. And I reserve the right to interrupt or terminate a participant's statement if the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. Ms. Lehman.
Hi, I'm Roxy Lehman, and I am in the district. So first, I wanted to start by thanking Mr. Scott for highlighting the custodial departures a few meetings back. Some recent feedback I received from teachers across various buildings is that they're currently doing some level of cleaning as part of their day now to kind of help with the gaps that we have. In case the board was not aware, and for everyone who's listening in, we have 3 full-time openings and 2 part-time openings right now. So first, as I think these are critical positions, I wanted to know what our current recruitment strategy was, and then encourage revisiting this to help, expedite the fulfillments since these are critical roles. And then secondly, I just wanted to know if we have steps, or if steps have been taken to really assess the resource plan for custodians, given that we're increasing square footage across all of our buildings and that we've acquired the new administration building. So really, I just wanted to kind of highlight that I think, that's an important area, and just curious what the board is, doing with that. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, and I'm sorry, I'm having trouble. Teresa. Yeah, okay, terrific.
Teresa Forsyth, I live in a district. Good evening. My name is Teresa Forsyth. I'm the proud mother of two amazing, beautiful young women, one of which is a 2023 graduate attending Ship University. My youngest is currently in 10th grade. Jaden participated in Drama Club, Broadway Club, and the National Honor Society. May is currently in 10th grade and attends VOTech in Web Design and Marketing. She is a member of Drama Club, performing in the Christmas Carol as the cook. She is also currently the treasurer of the Dungeons and Dragons Club. Finally, she's been recently named Student of the Month. While I'm not a native of Ship, this wonderful community has been my home for 8 years. I believe this has been a better environment to raise my girls, to give them opportunities I never had growing up in the urban squalor of Philadelphia. I encourage them to seize every opportunity they can, be the best people they can be, this community and beyond. According to multiple studies concerning extracurricular activities and student mental and physical health, students who participate in those activities have better self-esteem, less anxiety, and are exposed to problem-solving and team-building skills, making them more well-rounded individuals. However, despite my encouragement, we have developed an obstacle: lack of transportation. Specifically, lack of transportation for after-school activities. You see, I'm visually impaired. I cannot drive. I am unable to provide transportation home for my students for after-school activities. Last year, the district provided van transport for my daughter to attend after-school activities. It was truly a godsend to me, as I did not have to arrange pickups for them and they could participate in the vital activities. With the van not available this year, I found myself scrambling to find rides for my daughter. I am more than grateful for the friends and neighbors who have helped me help us. I understand that it's not the district's responsibility to provide transportation for such things, but when they do, it is truly a blessing. I am extremely grateful for the support, but I have questions. Why was the van service stopped? Why was it determined it was no longer necessary? There was no explanation, no warning, just no longer an option. Transportation in this district has been an issue in general as of late. I'm not asking for a handout or free ride, and I have no problem contributing to such a service beyond my tax dollars. Keep in mind, I'm on a fixed income, and Ubers get expensive. More importantly, my child is too young to ride by themselves according to Uber's terms of service. I know I cannot be the only parent with children in this district going through this situation. My child, or any child for that matter, should not be penalized or miss out on opportunities because of a parent's disability. Since it truly does take a village to raise a child, I'm bringing this issue to the village. Please consider bringing back transport for after-school activities. This blind mama would really appreciate it, and I'm sure other parents would as well. Thank you so much for listening to me, and have a great evening.
Thank you. I can assure you there's a lot of interest on this board of providing an activity bus in general for all students who would be interested in. I don't know what to say other than that.
I would
Thank you for those comments.
I would second that for sure.
Is there anyone else who'd like to comment?
Steve Wise, you guys probably remember me from last meeting. So, Superintendent, I'd like to say thank you, because I actually did get a phone call back from Sarah explaining that the policy had been explained and clarified, and I was told it was going to be changed. It hasn't been as of today. The athletic department gave a report that did not mention that policy. Policy committee gave a report that did not mention any changes coming in. And for those of you who forget, or may not have remembered, my son was told he couldn't play his spring sport because of going on the band trip. I know some of you didn't believe me. I actually have screenshots of the Instagram post, and the last paragraph says, again, I wanted to make you all aware and say that in this situation, the students have done who are in the musical/play, they may have to make a decision if they want to play a sport, since it will take 5 days away in the spring season. If the policy is changing, what needs to occur for that policy to change?
Were you given a policy number?
I've got a copy of it out in my truck.
I'll meet with you afterwards, and we can bring that to the policy meeting.
It's the athletics handbook.
Yeah, it's not the policy, it's the book, not us.
And the attendance policy doesn't address it either. But this isn't affecting my son, this is affecting a group because the chorus is going along too. So between all those kids, 40 or 50 kids are probably being affected and having to make a choice between playing a sport or going on basically a once-in-a-lifetime trip in high school. It's just not right. And the policy currently states it's up to the coach's discretion. So some of the coaches are lenient, some of them aren't.
There is a spot in the handbook that gives the principal authority to kind of have discretion about certain things in the handbook. Is this?
So, I mean, my understanding, Mr. Wise, when we talked and in talking with Ms. Faunus, that, students are going to be able to try out, through that tryout period. Some are going to make the team, some won't. Those that make the team that are going on the trip, still are on the team. They may lose valuable practice time that may put them, further down the depth chart. But there is no exclusionary policy or pronouncement that it's a zero-sum game. The tryouts happen before the trip, so students are allowed to try out.
The way our policy is worded, it is up to the coach's discretion. There's nothing in there about school trips.
So coaches decide who makes the team. I mean, through the cut process, if we have to have cuts. So I'm not quite following. I'm happy to talk with you again after the meeting.
I would just like to see the policy change to say, yes, they'll be left behind, but he was told they were going to be unexcused absences and he would be cut from the team. And he's not even trying out this year. He's been playing baseball since he was 5, now his senior year.
Yeah, Mr. Wise, I believe this might be a moot point, but to your point, communicating it out,
I would just like to see the policy updated. That's
So
it.
you're saying that the students would be marked absent from school for being on the trip?
No, he was told it would be an unexcused absence from baseball, and he would be cut from the team because of a school trip. And I believe Miss Luffy's going on the trip. There's a school nurse going on the trip.
He's not.
Oh, she's not? Okay. But I'm sure there's school administration going, there's chaperones going. I'm not taking him on a vacation. He's on a school trip, performing with the school band.
We'll ask administration to get further clarification to you and also to clarify this issue in the next meeting.
Could you repeat that last statement of the thing the message you got?
I'm sorry?
Can you repeat the last line of that you said?
Last line?
Yeah.
I can send these to all of you if you want them.
I want your interpretation of
It says, again, I want to make you all aware and say that in this situation, like students have done who are in the musical/play, they may have to make a decision if they want to go on a trip or play a sport, since they will miss 5 days at the start of the spring season.
Yeah, Mr. Wise, I don't hear anything in that says they're automatically cut. It just means that
He was
they'll-
told he would be cut.
And
And
I think
was
that may have
told he
been.
would be cut.
Well, I can't speak.
And I know you guys have had discussions and clarified that, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
But it's not in writing. I was told the policy was going to be changed. And I know it's been a short period of time. I'm just wondering if that policy is going to be changed.
We'd have to know what policy exactly this falls under. I'm
It's
not.
the student handbook or the athletic handbook.
Yeah, we can look through the specific part of that, Mr. Wise.
Okay.
If it needs change, we can do that.
That's all. Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, that brings us to board comments. Start over here on this side, Mr. Suiters.
Good, thank you.
Dr. Lyman.
I'll just repeat it. I think an activity bus would be a great thing. I know it would cost the district some money, but I agree with the sentiments that were expressed that there are serious benefits to kids being involved in extracurriculars, and we should have as few barriers as possible in the way of kids accomplishing that, no matter what their socioeconomic status is or their family situation. Everybody should have an opportunity. I'd love to see some kind of proposal or something on that.
It can certainly get cost.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Scott?
I support what Dr. Lyman said.
Ms. Wolfinger?
So a couple of things. On Saturday, the 7th through 12th grade bands got to participate at an event over at the university, which was a really, really exciting day. It was really nice to have all of those students kind of intermingled with the college students as well. It was a really great experience for all of them, and the amount of marching students that left there really engaged, really wanting to participate in marching band when they move on to college, and in particular to consider SU as the campus of their choice was pretty profound. It's not something, the 9th through 12th has not been a part of that event. Typically the middle school goes over every year to SU. High school has not done it for many, many years. And so it was a nice thing that Mr. Fike brought back this year, and everybody really enjoyed that. So that was number one. Then we did the parade in the evening. So the kids were wiped out, and I'm sure slept very well Saturday night. The other thing, again, to touch base on the ESL bill, I would really, really love to be provided as the board more information as far as, numbers like statistics, like what we're doing now, what we could consider to help to take care of that ESL population for our students.
It's upcoming. We've already discussed it internally.
Mr. Kressler?
First and foremost, Dr. Lemon said it earlier, but winter sports signups, if you're interested, get your paperwork turned in. Don't be that kid who waits to the last minute and then gets bad news that you can't try out or participate. Powder Puff game is coming up on the 14th. Interesting coaching matchup. If you know Mr. Sasson, he takes real pride in being competitive in this. So I think it's Mr. Schwartz and Mr. Sasson's team against Mr. Weller and Mr. August's team. He's coming out of his football coaching retirement for this. So that's at 7 o'clock, I think, 6 or 7 o'clock. It's on the 14th at Veterans Stadium Memorial Park. And the pep band will be there too, so that's great. And the last thing is just another reminder about the Student Activism Club's Board Candidate Forum that's this Thursday night. Hopefully they get a good crowd for that. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Bard?
I'm good, thank you.
Ms. Eberly?
I just wanted to note just an observation of the agenda tonight. So we approved the additional outsourcing of counselors for students who do not have insurance, which I think is great. Also observing another expulsion due to policy violations. We've heard it time and time again, students being suspended, expelled for substance abuse concerns, and we have a lot of therapies for our mental health. I know that the SOAR program, those students are afforded like some substance abuse counseling. How can we reach students who are currently struggling with substance abuse, or parents who might know that their kids are struggling, but it's kind of like this self-reporting, like whether if it's partnering through the students assistance programs or who to contact prior to a student getting in trouble and then trying to intervene versus students getting in trouble and now that we know there's a problem. So it seems, it's rising. We know that it's a problem, but how are we going to keep these kids engaged and to keep them, from drinking alcohol, from doing drugs? That's just kind of what's on my heart tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Kressler, you beat me to it. I just wanted to remind everybody of that the Student Activism Club is hosting a school board candidate forum Thursday, 7 o'clock, this building, this location, also on the district YouTube channel, so please tune in for that. Also, I just, again, I was very excited about Ms. Akers' presentation during the Committee of the Whole about all of the sort of career advisory options. This fits so well. I mean, helping kids understand the value of school is sometimes helping them see, like, hey, in order to get to this place, I've got to take this thing seriously. And the more that we can, and that helps get like students engaged and sort of interested. I mean, Dad was an engineer growing up, and I went into his office, and I always thought I was going to be an engineer. And so I was like, if I'm going to be an engineer, I got to take math and science seriously. And I took it seriously. And I'm not sure how seriously I would have taken it if I hadn't thought like, hey, I'm going to be an engineer, and so I need to do this math and science stuff. And so that's not what I ended up doing, but like it engaged me, right? And that's I think that's a key principle here. So the more like sort of exposure that we can give kids to what people do in the quote unquote real world, and to help them sort of care about what it is that we do in the classroom, the better. So I was really excited to hear about those programs, those activities, and I hope that more students will be involved. All right, well, that brings us to information date savers. So there's a Transportation Committee meeting on October 26th, 4 p.m. in the conference room at the Operations Center. And then we will meet again as a committee of the whole and as a school board, and for our regular school board meeting on November 13th. That will be our only meeting in November, and then we will also have a meeting on the first Monday of December, December 4th, which will be a committee of the whole meeting and a reorganization meeting with the new school board post-election. November 9th, annual Veterans Day program with breakfast in the high school cafeteria, followed by the program in the auditorium. November 10th is Veterans Day, no school for students and teachers. November 13th is in-service day, no school for students. And we'll stop there. All right, I looked up the rules for adjournment, and it turns out that if you have worked your way all the way through the agenda, then there is no need for a motion to adjourn. So with that, we will adjourn. Thank you.
Well then.
Other times.
You just busted Fred.